where 11 people have died in yet another head-on collision on the N2 outside Dutywa. 3 people sustained serious injuries in the crash. Officials say a minibus taxi carrying 10 passengers collided with a Ford bakkie. 3 occupants of the bakkie died on the scene, while a 4th was taken to hospital with injuries. At least 8 passengers in the minibus taxi also died on the scene, while 2 people were injured. Provincial Transport spokesperson Unathi Binqose joins us live now with more of those details. Unathi, we just spoke to you just yesterday about 2 crashes that happened in the Eastern Cape. This is absolutely tragic. What are the details that we have around this at this point?
Ms. Chair, it's really disheartening constantly getting on the airwaves and reporting about so many people dying in accidents like this one that has happened on the N2. The N2 is one of those roads that have been flagged as one of the most dangerous in the country, that stretch between Kai Bridge and Mthatha. Where the accident happened is also where a similar accident, another head-on collision happened on Monday last week, where 4 people died. It's another head-on collision, as you have rightly said, and it's really puzzling why that stretch of the road would be flagged as the most dangerous. Of course, it's due to accidents like the one we are reporting about now. But as to why these accidents are constantly happening on that stretch is beyond me, because that stretch is one of those that I frequent a lot myself. It's as straight as a ruler with no real obstructions. However, we are seeing a lot of head-on collisions that are happening on that stretch. And here we are now reporting about 11 people who have died in yet another head-on collision. It happened at around 8 o'clock last night. It is a minibus taxi that had 10 people on board, as you have rightly said, and sadly 8 of them have died on the scene. It's 4 males and 4 females. Whereas on the bakkie, there were 4 people on board. Three of them died on the scene, all males, while a female sustained serious injuries. The 3 that are in hospital also very, very critical, and we are fearing for them, but we are also hoping for the best that nothing worse will happen unto them.
I hear you say it's puzzling, and thank you for describing the stretch of the road, because we have to alert other road users who, especially those who've never used that particular road, as to what is the danger exactly. Do we have any idea? Can you describe what you may think have caused the crash? Perhaps someone was overtaking a vehicle and then that resulted in the head-on collision, I'm assuming?
Head-on collisions also tell that story that one of the 2 drivers was on the wrong side of the road when the accident occurred. Whether they were overtaking or not, it's subject to our crash investigations, but we'll look into everything, including the state of the vehicles themselves. Maybe they may have a story to tell as well, but both vehicles have been towed to the nearest police station for some further investigations onto them. But it is fair to say that it's one of the very, very good maintained road. It's a national road, the N2, and of course the 2 vehicles involved, by the look of things, judging by what we've seen from the images, they are vehicles that are in fairly good condition, but of course we'll take a closer look at them. But as we always say, one common denominator in just about every accident is the man or the woman behind the wheel. So we've got to take a greater degree of responsibility as road users, as motorists and drivers in particular, for the accidents that are happening on our roads. I mean, head-on collisions, you can barely blame a lot other than the judgment of the person behind the wheel for an accident that has occurred. I mean, I was watching Newzroom Afrika yesterday at around 11, and there was a roadblock that we did in Mthatha. And in that roadblock, there was a head-on collision that happened while they were busy broadcasting there. And that was not an exhibition of what can happen. It was a real head-on collision that was made by a poor judgment from the driver. And luckily, Newzroom Afrika got a chance to interview the driver right after the incident. And of course, he did admit to a poor judgment. That is what we are seeing poor judgment from drivers and that are resulting into these crashes. And sadly, they are costing lives. And luckily, in that accident that happened yesterday, there were no lives that were lost. But people are incurring a lot of cost and, of course, psychological scars and that will last them a lifetime, because we tend to focus a lot more on those who pass on, forgetting about those who sustain life-altering injuries and carry emotional scars for the rest of their lives. So what I'm trying to say is that we have a greater responsibility as drivers, because a lot of the accidents that we're seeing in our province are down to poor judgment by you and I as drivers, resulting into these crashes that have claimed so many lives.
Unathi, have you identified all the victims, and have you managed to reach and notify all the families involved?
We will pull together all the resources to ensure that the next of kin of the deceased are aware of what has happened. And of course, they will get a chance to identify their loved ones. And of course, through our sister departments, we'll be able to bring the bodies closer to where they will be laid to rest. So we will be making those inroads. And of course, we need to do a debriefing as well on the families of the deceased, as well as the first respondents, the traffic law enforcement officers, all the rapid response teams, and that get to witness these gory scenes, of course, because these things also have a psychological impact on them. So that process will definitely unfold by today. And of course, there are those who are already aware of what has happened and have identified their loved ones. But of course, that process is going to carry on right through the day. But we want to plead to our road users, grateful for these platforms, to urge them to continue being cautious on our roads. And of course, we've got to acknowledge that the majority of road users in the province, and of course across the country, are responsible road users. It's just a handful of people that are causing these accidents. And we are calling on them, you who may be watching right now, ensure that you are not part of these estates and that we're constantly reporting about. And it's possible, we are not making a call of something that can happen. It's really in our hands to ensure that we are not part of these accidents that we're seeing on our roads.
All right. Unathi, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
That is Unathi Binqose, Provincial Transport Spokesperson.